A university professor challenged his students with this question: did God create everything that exists? A student confidently replied, yes, he did. The professor asked, did God create everything? The student answered, yes, sir. The professor said, if God created everything, then he also created evil. Since evil exists, and according to the principle that our actions define our nature, God must be evil. The student remained silent and did not respond. The professor, satisfied with himself, believed he had once again proven that belief in religion is nothing more than a myth and superstition. Another student raised his hand and said, Professor, may I ask you a question? The professor replied, of course. The student stood up and asked, Professor, does cold exist? The professor answered, what kind of question is that? Of course it exists. Have you never felt cold? The students laughed at the young man's question. The young man said, actually, sir, cold does not exist. According to the laws of physics, what we refer to as cold is in reality the absence of heat. Every object or entity can be studied and tested when it has or transmits energy, and heat is what makes a body or matter transmit or possess energy. Absolute zero, minus 460 degrees Fahrenheit, is the complete absence of heat. All matter becomes inert and incapable of reaction at this temperature. Cold does not exist. Humans created the word cold to describe the absence of heat. The student continued, Professor, does darkness exist? The professor replied, of course it does. The student said, you are wrong again, sir. Darkness does not exist either. Darkness is in reality the absence of light. Light can be studied and tested, but darkness cannot. In fact, using Newton's laws, we can break light into different colors and study the wavelength of each color separately. But you cannot measure darkness. A tiny ray of light can break through a world of darkness and illuminate it. How can you determine how dark a certain space is? You only measure the amount of light present in that space, right? Darkness is a term humans use to describe the absence of light. Finally, the young man asked the professor, Sir, does evil exist? The professor, now less confident, replied, Of course, as I have already said. We see it every day. It is present in the inhuman acts of humans toward each other. It is in the countless crimes and violence that occur all over the world. These represent nothing but evil. And the student replied, Evil does not exist, sir. Or at least it does not exist as an independent entity. Evil is simply the absence of God. It is like darkness and cold, a word humans created to describe the absence of God. God did not create evil. Evil is the result of what happens when humans do not have God's love present in their hearts. It is like cold, which comes when there is no heat, and darkness, which comes when there is no light. The name of that young, intelligent student was none other than Albert Einstein.